Hello and welcome to day 14 of the Python challenge, and today we're going to talk about Python objects. So without further ado, let's get started. So we dealt with objects before. A lot of the documentation we came across the objects. We probably know a little about it. For example, we know a lot of time we can invoke an object by the dot operand. So with the dot, we can activate a couple of functionality that are related to, in this case, a list, for example. So we're going to go back. So the object-oriented language is is basically we one of the advantage of it is that we take the whole program and we break it down to pieces that are more manageable in terms of functionality. So we don't need to look at the whole program to understand it. We can look at different parts to understand each portion. Each portion does a specific task. So in terms of like if we have a problem that we want to solve, we break down the problem to smaller tasks, and those smaller tasks are how we can represent object with. Um, Again, going back to our initial elevator program, so we have an input. Here we have multiple objects and we have an output. Within our program, we have an object, for example, interacting with the dictionary, with other objects, or with strings, and that's how we break down a bigger program or a bigger problem to more manageable chunks. And it's by doing that, we kind of compartmentalize that piece to one specific boundary so we can deal with the program in more manageable way. So let's talk a little about the definitions. In object-oriented terminology, we have class, which is a template. Uh, if we have a in if in bakery, for example, a cookie cutter is a good analogy to a class, is a template. We can create a lot of similar cookies from a cookie cutter. On the opposite side of the class, we have this other entity which is called object or instance, which is a particular instant of a class. In the analogy of the bakery, here we have a cookie. So a cookie is an object or an instance of a class of cookie cutter. So this is how we can relate to it in terms of real life. Also, we have something which is called method or message. A method or message is a defined capability of a class. We will talk about it more. And we have field or attributes, which is a bit of data in a class. Again, we're going to discuss this more in a little bit. Further, we come to the instant. Instant is a particular object of the class. Uh, in the analogy of the dog, um, if the class of dog is what defines all the behavior and characteristics of a dog. But a dog which is called lassie uh, is an instant of a dog, is a real dog, and it has some. Uh, so in this case is the instant of the class of dog. So that's how we differentiate between class, and instance. So again, we dealt with Python with the object before. We didn't know probably that they were called object at that time. For example, if we assign a string to variable x, when we type when we write type x, we get something as class string. So this is a string class. When we do the same for when we say type 2.5, we find that 2.5 is from float class. 2 is from integer class. List is from list class, and a dictionary is from the dictionary class. So each of these objects has different functions. For example, when we talk about the string, if we do a dir, and dir is a reserved word that can gives us the functionality of a object. Here we have different functions of the object: format, partition, replace, rsplit, lsplit, all of the functions that are related to the or methods that are related to the string. If we do the same for y was a list. So list has functionality which is similar to, for example, we have append, clear, insert, pop, remove. If we do the dir for z, which is a dictionary, we get the methods of the dictionary, which are, for example, copy, pop item, get. So the dir is a reserved word that shows us the methods of each object. And our class start with the reserved word class and the name of class, which is PartyAnimal. So in this class, we create a variable called x. We assign the value of 0 to it. We define a method which is called party. And what party does is it takes the x, it adds 1 to it, and saves the result back to x. So it's basically increase the number of the value of x by 1. And we print the value of x at the end of the party method. So what we can do now here is we can say PartyAnimal, and we assign it to the variable an. In this case, we constructed an instant of the PartyAnimal, and we assign it to the object an. So object an is an object of PartyAnimal class here. Now we're gonna do the an dot, which is after that we're gonna invoke the method, the party method of the class. And what it does basically is we increase the number of x by 1, and we do this 3 times. So as we do this, initially the first time that we create when we define the PartyAnimal, the x is 0. So when we assign it to the object an, at this point the x is 0. When we run it for the first time, the x will increase from 0 to 1. When we run it the second time, it will increase from 1 to 2. And when we run it for the third time, it will change to number 3. So at the end of this, we will have the x as 3. So now we're going to talk more about dir and type. Okay, so now what we can do is we go back to the PartyAnimal class that we had, and uh, we want the output of type an. So the output of type an in this uh, in this example would be, this is a class, and this is the method that is accessible within the class. Only for Python is not accessible by us. And if we do a dir if we do a dir on an, we get underline class underline, which we cannot use, and we get a bunch of other methods that we can use, for example party or variable x that we can invoke here. Now we're going to talk about the object lifecycle. So the primary purpose of the constructor is to set up some instant variable to have the proper initial value when the object is created. So to set up some instant variable to have proper initial value when the object is created. So that's the purpose of the constructor. Okay, so again, about constructor in object-oriented programming, a constructor is a class. A constructor in a class is a special block of a statement called when an object is created. So when we have an object, when we create an object, that's when we call the constructor. So in this example, we have our PartyAnimal object, PartyAnimal class, and here, okay, so we added a parameter here. So this is our parameter. This is an additional information that we're going to pass to the object when we create the object. In this case, we're gonna pass that to the variable called name. So we have PartyAnimal Sally, and what happens is we put it to s is 0, the name is Sally, and that's how it is. Now we're going to create another object, and we call it Jim. So again, at the end, Sally partied once, one extra than Jim. So inheritance is when we make a new class, we can reuse an existing class and inherit all the capabilities of an existing class, and then add our own little bit to make our new class. And it's another form of store and reuse. We can write something once and reuse it many times. The new class or child has all the capabilities of the old class, which is the parent, and then even we can add some more to it. So let's see how it works. Or we can have a subclass and have some more capabilities. Here, this is the more, oops. This is the more part. I don't know why this doesn't work here. Oh, I'm going out of the range of the, okay, sorry about that. Now we're gonna go to this portion. We're gonna call Jim as a parameter. We're gonna pass Jim as a parameter to the football fan. So Jim will come to name. So the name is Jim here. X is 0 and points are 0. We're gonna call party on J. So we're not gonna come here because the party is here. So we're gonna increase the X by 1. So this would be 1, and that's it. And we're gonna call the touchdown on J. So touchdown comes here. First of all, we increase the points by 7. So this would be 7. And then here we're gonna call the party again. So for here we go back to this party and we're gonna increase X by 1. We already had it as 1, so the new value will be 2. So this is how the value of X would be, and the value of the points would be after this, running these 3 lines of code. So in summary, we talked about the object-oriented language today, and which is a very structural approach to code reuse. Basically, we break down the problem to smaller piece of code which are more manageable, and we separate them from the rest of the program, from the unnecessary information that are not related to that piece of the program. And we can group data and functionality together to create many independent instances of a class. I'm sorry, we can group data and functionality together and create many independent instances of a class. So